What's up, guys? In this episode of Roll Off Rundowns, we are on location at Junk Wranglers. It's a female-owned business that's in Golden, Colorado. We sit down with Miss Brooke, who's the owner, and we talk about how she started a junk removal business and then added roll-off dumpster rental to her business as she looks to expand. This is an episode you don't want to miss, so let's jump right in. We are here in beautiful Golden, Colorado at Junk Wranglers, one of the best names out there. And we're sitting here with Brooke, who is the owner. And what we really want to know is, tell us about the beginning. How did you start this business?
Well, I was flipping a house a couple years ago and just was never really satisfied with the dumpsters, the booking system, the customer service, and I'm like, this is the most brainless company. Like, just show up. That's all you have to do. And so I mulled about it like for a while, and I'm like, I've spent so much money on dumpsters, like flipping these houses, and they never show up. So I'm just gonna start my own. So I quit my job. I was in tech sales before. I quit my job and I just went full on trash.
That's awesome. What made, like, we've heard this a lot actually, where people are doing house flips or house renovations, and there's like super unreliable contractors that you're working with and whatnot. So they start their own. Was it scary, like starting, from scratch?
Absolutely. I'm a single mom. I have 2 daughters, and this is the biggest gamble that I could have ever done. I put everything on the line to start this business, and now I have 2 trucks and 13 dumpsters, and I'm just going for it. I had to send it.
That's awesome. And it looks like you are. And again, you have, if there's anyone that has a beautiful location, it's you. So that helps coming to work each day, right? We're sitting here in Golden, Colorado, and folks, if you haven't been, it's definitely a place you want to come to.
Absolutely.
What's a typical week look like for you?
Oh my gosh. Every day is different. Every week is different. I wear all hats in this business. And so generally I run the dumpster truck, and then I have employees who do the junk removal side. But I've got to do marketing and networking and sales and accounting, and every day is different. So this morning I woke up and had to deliver some dumpsters, and then go to a meeting with my mastermind group where we all just like talk about how to make each other's businesses better. So every day is different. It really depends.
Nice. What's your typical customer look like? Are you working with mostly residential, or are you working with commercial, or both?
I'd say the junk removal side is more residential, and then the dumpsters are more commercial. My dumpsters are pretty small. I do 20 yards and smaller, but the footprint is little, so they fit nicely in a driveway, so you don't have to deal with like permitting and that kind of stuff. And so I would say about 50-50 when it comes to that breakdown.
Got it. And you are one of our newest customers for Docket, and you are one of the first that is doing junk and dumpster rentals. Why did you choose us for, I know you looked at us because of the dumpster rental side. What makes it better?
Well, the previous software that I was using did really well with the junk removal and terrible with the dumpsters. I was losing dumpsters. The billing wasn't going well. There was no weight entries or over, when you go over your days for the rental. A lot of it had to be manually done. You couldn't pin drop where a dumpster was, or it just was terrible. And so and that was mostly for like home services, this software that I was using, where Docket is specific to dumpsters and junk removal. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to have something that was because the dumpster rentals is very nuanced. There's a lot that goes into it. Whereas the junk removal, you schedule it, you send out the truck, it is what it is. And so finding a software that is specific to those 2 service lines has been a game changer for me.
That's awesome. We put out a lot of content, and we get folks that are looking to start businesses, or maybe they're looking to grow businesses, and it's a great way to grow a business if you're doing dumpster rentals, you want to add junk, or if you, like you had junk rentals and you want to add dumpster. What advice would you give someone that's starting out in the junk world? Let's just start there. Like you just want to run a junk business. What are some of the mistakes you've made maybe that you could share to help others?
I spend way too much money on Carhartts, like brand new iPads and computers and all these things. Like, just slow your roll. I was like, I want to be the most legit looking company, and from day one, and I just like I overdid it in a lot of ways. So just ease into it a little bit. I think I dove not just like head first, but like what else could be first? I don't know. I really just sent it, and I wish I would have kind of taken a step back and really like slowly gotten into it. But yeah.
Well, what's interesting though, even though that might have been painful in the beginning, your brand is amazing, and so major props for your brand.
Thank you.
Your website, you're doing SEO right, you're doing PPC right, and so it was worth the investment, I would say. Like if someone is getting started, and should they, like, as far as how many dumpsters they should start out with, like how should they test their market to know if it's even something that they can grow?
I did a lot of research about capacity. I think that one roll-off truck can operate at max capacity 40 dumpsters. In order to pay for itself, I think you need to have a minimum of 10. And so it's a very large, like, upfront capital expense, but you don't want to just have like a couple dumpsters, because then it's just not worth it, because the truck is expensive, the employees to drive it are expensive, and you really have to kind of just get a lot. The land to store it is expensive. So that's the difference really between the dumpsters and the junk, because I could park this truck at my house and not have to pay for rent. But when you have all this other equipment, you have to really think about cash flow. Can your market hold it? Do you see a lot of competition? I did a lot of, I would call dumpsters out and like have them come to my house and deliver a dumpster and see what the experience was like, and ask them like, how many times do you flip this a month? Or so I did a lot of like kind of snaky things like that. And I still do. I'll call and pretend I'm a builder and be like, how much for, a dumpster for 3 weeks, And so just really call your market and don't just go into it blindly. You really got to do your research and make sure that there's room for you, because there's a lot of competition.
I don't think it's sneaky, by the way. I think that's just good market research. And you're talking to marketers, so yeah, really nice job there. I mean, that's secret shopper. That's been around for a while. So good job. A lot of people have questions when they're starting out about, where do I get the money to start a business? Do I finance it myself? Do I work with a local bank? Can you talk about your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. My previous career, I was able to have a nice little nest egg, and I had to put 50% down on this truck. It's a brand new truck, because I don't have any commercial experience. And so I was a risky lend, as they called me. So I was able to do this through a local credit union. And then I also took a HELOC out on my house. And then I also got an SBA loan, which is a small business loan. And just kind of figured out how to get creative with financing for commercial auto loan, the SBA, my HELOC. My HELOC paid for my other truck that I have, which is the roll-off truck, and just really kind of shifting things around and seeing how, who will trust me to lend on.
Yeah, getting creative on your financials. What about insurance? Was that hard?
Oh my gosh. Insurance is a nightmare. it's an absolute nightmare. The general liability, workman's comp, just the 2 trucks that I have are $1,500 a month for auto insurance. So there's just 2 trucks. Like, it's a lot, especially because I don't have that background of anything trucking or like logistics related. So it's a lot.
But you have to have it.
Yeah, I probably spend $3,000 a month on insurance for all the things. My dumpsters are insured. Yeah, everything.
Let's talk about the dumpster side of your business. What made you realize that adding dumpsters was a good business move?
I don't know if it was. I don't have like the historical data and the seasonality to really track the ebbs and flows of it. But I think that it has been good for me because we'll have really big jobs that are, several 5, 6, 7 truckloads. And it's nice to be able to just come drop a dumpster off, bring the truck, swap them out, and keep my employees on site versus them having to go back and forth to the landfill. So that's been a really creative solution for some of the bigger jobs that we get. It also is more consistent annually because a lot of, bathroom, kitchen remodels and like smaller contractors use me for their jobs. And that happens all year round, where the residential side of things is much more seasonal. And so I think that it's created more of a consistent monthly revenue versus like, oh no, it's November and we're going from Thanksgiving to Christmas and nothing's happening. And so I think it's created more consistency versus the peaks and valleys.
Brooke, where do you see the opportunity on the dumpster roll-off side, rental side of your business?
I think that there is a ton of opportunity, especially being a female-owned business. I'm working on getting certified. You have to have a certain amount of history before you can get certified, but a ton of government RFP processes, and I'm very integrated with the town of Golden, and they want to use me as a diverse supplier, being female-owned, for neighborhoods or events, and I think that there's a ton of opportunity.
Are most of those opportunities in construction with construction companies or on the residential side, or both? Mostly
construction. A lot of evictions actually have been happening lately, and so there's unfortunately a large market in that. But property management, realtors, flippers. I'm into the wholesale flipping world. There's a lot.
Brooke, what would you tell people in the business that, if you were giving them a piece of advice, what's the biggest piece of advice you can give them?
The biggest piece of advice I would say is to delegate and outsource the things that you are not good at. I will never learn SEO or PPC, so I've outsourced it. I don't want to do accounting, so I've outsourced it. I don't want to pick up junk, so I've hired employees. Try to make it so that you can buy your time back to do the things that you're good at versus learning something that somebody else is a professional at.
I think that's well said. We do a lot of that ourselves too, with outside contractors that help us with graphics and different things that in our business. What are you best at?
I would say sales. I'm a sales girl through and through. I love networking. I love meeting new people. I'm an empath as well. So a lot of times, we deal with a lot of hoarders, and I think that is a mental thing. And so versus coming in and being let me take all your trash, really helping them find a long-term solution versus just very transactional. And I think that's one thing that differentiates us from some of my competitors is I don't see these people as a transaction. I build good relationships and try to help. So I guess it's sales and helping.
That's awesome. I think it's also a good place to land this plane. So thank you so much, Brooke,
Yeah, of
for
course.
sitting down with us and telling us more about your business.